Sleep is a powerful priestess. Sleep brings more treasures than the ocean. She integrates story. She aids the digestion of the bones of the fairy tales and myths that we chew on. She is a psychopomp and sometimes an orphan. She brings you to the clear lake of renewal and to the edges of the wilderness in dreams. Welcome, kindreds, it's Jessica. The Aquarius new moon is tomorrow, and so I'm looking back over my Capricorn month, December 23rd to January 21st, in my journals and in my life. Bringing some closure to this outgoing cycle and figuring out what I want to invite into the next. The energy of this moon cycle looked kind of low, reflective and restful, so I didn't go too crazy with goals for this month. And overall that is how things panned out, though I was more productive than I expected, which is perhaps unsurprising given that Capricorn is cardinal earth energy after all. I wanted to work less, which I did, though I guess that's probably what many of us did over the holiday period. I planned to use tarot and oracle decks in pairs more this month, which I did a bit. I wanted to explore my word of the year, which is movement, but through the lens of my card for January, which is the Four of Swords, so more rest, as the kind of opposite, the antithesis of movement, and I definitely did that this month. I wanted to spend more time playing creatively. I had an iPad for Christmas and I want to learn how to use Procreate to make digital art. I've been taking some Skillshare classes and I'm really having fun, though also feeling that frustration when your vision for what you want to make is beyond your current skill level. Part of my rest this month was kind of enforced as I had a procedure to release my tongue tie in the middle of the month at the full moon, which was scary and painful, but it felt like a powerful initiation into the next part of my life. It is healing and not painful anymore for the most part. It's something I'm still processing and integrating, and I guess I will be as I move forward. I said I wasn't going to do any home projects in this moon cycle, but the Capricorn energy got the better of me and I ended up having a huge clear out of our craft room. I wish I'd taken a before photo. It was so bad and it looks so much better now. I got rid of piles of things which my children no longer use, and I reorganised everything which is left. I also made some curtains out of cantha quilts to cover the bookcases, which gives the room a much calmer vibe. It's still a work in progress, but it's becoming a really good space to spend time, and I've noticed that we tend to be in there and just kind of hang around in there a lot more now, which is really cool. That's exactly what I wanted out of that. I said I'd planned some fun things to do this month, which was mainly prompted by the rune for this cycle being the sun and moon. I don't really know what I had in mind for this. It's a bit vague. Like, we did have fun this month, but just kind of doing cozy things like watching movies and going for walks. I didn't really organise any in inverted commas, fun activities. I planned to do less and receive more, and that does seem to have shifted for me this month. I tend to overdo and try not to ask for help when I need it. So this month I've consciously been asking for more help and being open to that. And I've been really pleasantly shocked, really. I don't have proper tangible examples. This is more of a shift in mindset. But things like my husband figuring out his work schedule so he can be with the kids an extra day a week. We home educate. So my kids don't go to school, so they're with me all the time, but my husband also works from home, and so most of the time, so we can kind of work things around each other, and he's wiggled things around so that I've got more time to work on my projects. And that's something which I would have really struggled to say yes to in the past, when he has offered to do things like that before. And honestly, it still feels hard, but I did say yes, and I feel like I'm definitely making progress in that area of receiving help. And the final thing on my goals and plans list was to pay more attention and care to my body. I said I'd book a massage in, but I didn't. I also said I'd get earlier nights, which I have been, but not consistently. There's still some nights when I've been really late going to bed, and I want to make that much more consistent. So that's an area which I need to continue working on over the coming moon cycles. My highlights for this month were the Omen Days in Circle event, the deep sort out of the craft room, which I've already mentioned, quality family time, which I already mentioned as well, but it's just been really lovely this month, obviously over the holidays and things as well. Decorating and reorganising my daughter's bedroom. Yeah, I didn't actually mention this in my goals, and I did say I wasn't going to take on home projects, and I ended up taking on 2 home projects. Capricorn's actually my 4th house, and I find that when there is an emphasis there, like there is in the moon cycle, when the sun and the moon are both in Capricorn, as they have been, I do tend to focus on home and like home project stuff, so I guess it just makes sense that that has been what is happening in this month. Feeling more cared for. This goes back to that goal of doing less and receiving more. It's a subtle shift, but it's definitely making a huge difference to me. My daughter's singing at my sister-in-law's birthday party this month. That was really lovely. It was like a kind of stars in their eyes theme party, so we all had to dress up as different characters and then sing songs by those artists. So she was Kate Bush, and she just knocked it out of the park. Another highlight from this month is getting clear on my work, not work separation, which is such a perfect Capricorn moon highlight. I'm feeling much more energized and excited about my work as a result of this, and I've got lots of ideas for things that I want to do and make. I'm going to launch channel memberships here very soon. I want to offer folks who want to engage more deeply with living an everyday magical life and living in harmony with the lunar and solar cycles extra guidance and support to do that. I'm still working out the details, but I'll let people know when that is up and running via my newsletter and also on the community tab and Facebook circle of kindreds and things like that. I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be really special and really cool. I have really enjoyed having a break from all the normal activities. So like my kids do clubs and things like that, you know, like just in the normal run of the week. But then over the holiday period, things can tend to stop and sort of just slow down. And I really love that. Like I love that every year, but it's a big highlight for me. And another thing that I've really been enjoying is using my ritual planner. I wasn't sure how this was going to work out for me as somebody who like usually tarot journals in a more free form way, but I've really got so much value out of like having the sacred space already carved out, you know, the prompts, the space is just all there, and so there's like no resistance then to just being like, okay, yeah, I do this today, you know. And yeah, I've been finding it really, really good. My lowlights for this month were recovering from my procedure. I wanted it to be faster than it was, basically. They said it would be 2 weeks, and I was like, no, it won't take 2 weeks. I'm also a little bit worried that it might not have healed as well as it could have, and that there is a little bit of reattachment, which is something that does happen sometimes when you have tongue-tie release. I'm seeing a speech and language therapist next week to try and get some help with that and to stretch things out. I'm doing exercises and things. I've also had a few health concerns with my kids. I think it's probably more a me thing than a them thing, because I tend to get quite anxious about health in general. My daughter possibly has asthma, and we've just had a kind of crap experience with the GP, kind of going back and forth with that. And with my son as well, he's like got some ongoing things with digestion, which I need to kind of keep an eye on. Like there's certain foods he can eat and he can't eat and things like that. So yeah, it's just been a little bit of a worry this month. And another low light this month was my Instagram account got cloned, and like scammers were trying to pretend to be me and trying to scam people out of money again, which I know I've talked about this before, and it's just so frustrating. I hate it. And so I've just taken the decision, I'm just going to come off Instagram. I've tried to deactivate my account and they won't let me do it because apparently I can't remember my password and they think that I'm a robot. It's like and non-humanity detected or something. So I've just kind of left it with no photos or anything on it. So I'm basically not on Instagram anymore. So I will miss it because I do love connecting with people, you know, like with the actual genuine like-minded people over there who I've really enjoyed seeing their posts. But at this point in time, it's just not worth it. And to be honest, it's been like, I think a week or maybe even 2 weeks since I deleted it, and I haven't missed it at all. So yeah, feeling really good about that. How did I flow with the energy this month? That's kind of like my prompt for how I connected in with my weaver, my rune for the month. I was working with the Sun and Moon rune and Buzzard from the Weaver's Oracle. And I feel like there was more emphasis on the themes from the Weaver this month, with that kind of like severing energy being like literal with the tongue tie and metaphorical. And the rune, it felt more to be about like balance and seeing the harmony and cycles and things, though I have had some belly laughs too this month. Field notes, I've really enjoyed seeing some early signs of spring, even though, you know, we're still winter, but we've had a couple of days where it's been sunny and still cold. Like we've had some snow and ice and frost. But there have been more birds around, like I've noticed, and my snowdrops have started to push up through the soil. And on one of the lovely sunny days we had, even though it was really cold, we also saw rabbits in the field again. So you usually don't see them over the winter so much. So they were having a nice little sun, and that was really lovely to see. So last month I talked about how my input and output and the balance between those things is really important for me, feeling kind of like well, really, and creatively in the flow. And so I decided to include that on this spread. And you know, I've talked a lot about the input already, the Omen Days workshops, which was just so cool, you know, having people who are experts in the things they were talking about, sharing their knowledge and expertise. You know, it was so good to have that input. I've also really enjoyed, like I said, the field notes kind of aspect, nature walking and stuff this month. I've been reading a story with the children called The Blackthorn Branch, which we finally finished in this moon cycle, and we all really enjoyed it. I'm very like hard to please when it comes to fiction, especially like kind of magical realism type fiction, which this is, and it is a children's book, you know. But like some parts of it seemed like a little bit contrived, I guess. Like obviously it's contrived because it's fiction, it's written, isn't it? It's a creative construct. But yeah, I did feel like some of it was just a little bit like, I can imagine the author going to like her writing group and saying, what do you think of this? And then like listening to people's suggestions and reworking sections. It almost felt like I could see this would be a good idea if I did this reworking in some parts of it. But that said, you know, the story was really, really interesting. It's about like a boy who gets kind of like captured by the fairies, by the Tylwyth Teg underneath the hill, and like it's a very Welsh story, so that was nice as well. And there's lots of Welsh words kind of woven into it as well, which, you know, we enjoyed that, and the kids could recognize a lot of the stuff that was mentioned in the story, which was really nice as well. So yeah, I definitely do recommend it, but I think like I'd seen it kind of talked up as being like, this is amazing, and I would probably give it more like a sort of, I think I'd probably like a 7.5 out of 10. So it was really good, but just I think perhaps my expectations, because it's been like nominated for loads of awards and things, were maybe a little bit too high. So yeah, a definite good read, especially if you or your children are into kind of like magical realism, and especially if you know want that kind of Welsh connection, that is definitely there. So yeah, it was good. Another thing input wise I've been enjoying this month is reading Charles Eisenstein's essays. I'd saved lots of them. I've downloaded a new app which is called Reader, which is linked up to the Readwise app, and you can like save instead of having like loads of newsletters and stuff, you can kind of save them all in one place. And then when you're feeling like you want to be reading stuff like that, rather than like when you're answering emails and trying to kind of get your inbox empty, which always feels a bit like I haven't got time to read this beautifully thought out essay now. I've been saving them over there and then actually like engaging with them more, which has been a really nice way of doing it. And I really liked his last one, which was about story really, and about how like the stories that we tell about our lives and how things work really makes a huge difference. So yeah, that's been really fun. And another thing that I've been enjoying this month as an input, which was completely unexpected, is I've started watching a series called Atypical. And like I know they've even finished the series now. There's like 4 seasons of it on Netflix, and I'm late to the party as usual. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's like funny but also really heartfelt as well, and like brings up some sort of good themes around, like the premise of it is about a boy who has autism is like the kind of main character, but it's not like it's not focused on that. Like it is obviously about that, but it's about the family and how the family kind of cope with that, but also not cope with it, you know, like kind of, well, yeah, in some ways cope, but also like embrace it, and also like are living their own lives and things going on for them, like his sister who's like a really good athlete, and you know how it impacts on her life and stuff as well. So, and the mum, you know, the mum was given like her whole life to kind of care for these kids, and now they're getting like the main character is 18, and so there's like that huge shift point where the children are no longer like kind of needing quite the same care and support as they were. So yeah, it just, a lot of it I think just resonates with me, and so I've been really enjoying that. as an input. And then output wise, I've definitely been doing some stuff, like I said, with the Skillshare courses and stuff. I've been doing some Procreate drawings, which has been really fun. Apart from that, it's been mainly like the home project stuff, like reorganizing the craft room. I made the curtains, like I said, and painting my daughter's bedroom, and just kind of like dreaming up solutions for how things are going to work, because like she wanted a desk in there, but there wasn't really enough room for a desk. So I'm like, how can we make this work? So like we can turn this bookcase and like adapt this and maybe like build a little like shelf desk rather than it being like a kind of desk, and just coming up with solutions to problems, I suppose, in that way, which I definitely see as a kind of like a creative output. I also, like I said about my daughter, when we went to the Stars in Their Eyes party, I dressed up as Cilla Black and sang a Cilla Black song in the party, which was kind of fun as well. You know, it was like a bit stressful, but it was fun. I do love singing, and I don't have a problem with singing, but I think it was the whole like being a character aspect of it that I found tricky, but it was good for me, I think, a nudge to do that. Just my journal in general, I've been really, really enjoying, because it just feels really like it is holding me, like that sacred space, and I'm really just loving that, having that space there. And so I really want to kind of like lean into that as I go through the year, through 2023. And I just wrote like a little realization of like what the story of this month has been. And it's definitely been about like finding that separation between what is work and what is not work. And like not work as in being like a kind of onerous thing. Like it's Capricorn, you know, work is good. Work is fulfilling. It's your calling, not just your work, you know. So it's that kind of stuff. It's like, but then by identifying that and finding that kind of separation, it's also like, okay, so now I'm working on my work, which is this stuff, and then I also get to have things that aren't that, like, you know, like relationships that aren't to do with my work, like free time and fun, which isn't to do with my work, just like downtime and rest time, you know, which for me, finding that separation before has always been quite difficult. So that feels like a big breakthrough this month anyway. I've also been taking my time, definitely taking lots of time, saying no to lots of things, doing the whole wintering thing, you know, of having that liminal space and not being rushing to go to all these different things, you know. It's been almost like a pause, but like it seems like maybe nothing much is happening on the outside, but lots and lots is happening on the inside, and that's just such a perfect metaphor for wintering in general, isn't it? So yeah, that has kind of been my story for this month. I was thinking I would share my new moon journaling and planning for the next moon cycle, but this video is already really long. This is the third kind of wrap-up video I've made, and it feels a little awkward, and I think like probably not that useful for anyone apart from me, because the reflections and things are so kind of personal. So I don't think I'm going to continue to make these kinds of videos ongoing. But I thank you so much for spending some cozy reflective time with me today, and I'm sending you my warmest blessings, and I will see you very soon.